So let me ask you something. What if you could argue with God? And not just argue, but what if he actually listened? We're going to dive into one of the most remarkable conversations ever recorded from Genesis chapter 18. It's this incredible story of faith, doubt, and a bargain that questions the very nature of divine justice. And really, that's the core question of this entire story. It's a question Abraham himself seems totally determined to answer. I mean, can a mortal being really stand before the divine and try to negotiate? The answer to that question, well, it sets the stage for everything that's about to happen. All right, let's set the stage here. You can think of this story as a play, really, in 4 acts. And Act 1 doesn't start with a bang, no thunder, no big ceremony. It just begins with a quiet, kind of mysterious arrival in the middle of a hot day. So try to picture this, right? It's the heat of the day, Abraham's just resting by his tent, and he spots 3 strangers coming his way. Now, his reaction is, well, it's immediate. The text makes a big deal of this. He doesn't just walk, he runs to meet them. And then he bows, like all the way to the ground. This is so much more than a polite hello. It's an act of urgent, total respect. And what's funny is, Abraham calls what he's offering a simple morsel of bread. But his actions, they tell a completely different story. First, he gets water to wash their feet, a huge sign of honor back then. Then he tells Sarah to bake fresh bread cakes, using the finest flour. And he doesn't just send a servant, he personally runs to the herd to pick out the best calf. What he ends up serving is a full-on feast. This isn't just good manners. This is radical, over-the-top generosity. Okay, so this incredible welcome, it totally sets the stage for Act 2. And this is where the conversation takes a huge turn, shifting from, earthly hospitality to a divine promise that's about to change everything. So the meal's winding down, and one of the visitors just drops this bombshell. Now, you got to remember, the text is very clear that Abraham and Sarah are old and well-stricken in age. We're talking way past childbearing years. A kid is, by any natural logic, completely impossible. And then this visitor says, "Sarah, thy wife, shall have a son." Can you imagine? It must have sounded absolutely unbelievable. And this is what's so powerful, this incredible contrast. On one hand, you've got this absolute certain divine promise. And on the other, you have Sarah's completely human, totally silent reaction. See, she's inside the tent, she overhears the whole thing, and she just laughs to herself. And you can't blame her, right? It's a perfectly understandable, logical doubt. And this is the moment where the visitor reveals he's way more than just some traveler. He turns to Abraham and asks why Sarah laughed. And then he repeats her private internal thoughts, word for word. Of course, she gets scared and denies it, but he just says, "No, you did laugh." Wow, he knows her secret thoughts. The message couldn't be clearer. You can't hide anything from this visitor, and for him, nothing is impossible. All right, so the personal promise has been delivered. And now the whole tone of the story just shifts on a dime. As the visitors get up to leave, the focus expands. We're moving from the future of one family to the fate of 2 entire cities. Welcome to Act 3. So God lays out his plan for Abraham. He says he's going down to investigate the cries he's heard coming from Sodom and Gomorrah. But you have to ask, why tell Abraham at all? Well, the text gives us a clue. It's because God knows Abraham will teach his children to do justice and judgment. So this isn't just a friendly update. It's an invitation for a man of justice to weigh in on a massive act of judgment. And that dialogue, that's our 4th and final act. This is it, the climax of the whole story. Abraham steps up, and he's about to have one of the most audacious, boldest conversations you'll find anywhere. He is going to bargain with God. The text says Abraham drew near, and then he asks this absolutely breathtaking question. He's not just begging for mercy here. He's appealing directly to God's own character, to his very nature. He is challenging the definition of divine justice itself. He's basically asking, shouldn't the judge of all the earth do what's right? How can a just God let the innocent die with the guilty? I mean, that is an incredibly bold thing to say. And this is where you see this amazing tension inside Abraham. Even as he's making this unbelievably bold challenge, he starts by saying how humble he is, calling himself but dust and ashes. It's this mix, this combination of profound respect and incredible moral courage that really defines this entire conversation. So the negotiation begins. Abraham starts with a nice, round number, probably a safe bet. What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Surely that's enough, right? And God agrees right away. I will not destroy it for 50's sake. But Abraham doesn't stop there. He's encouraged, so he immediately pushes his luck. Okay, what if there's just 5 short of 50? What about 45? And again, God agrees. I will not destroy it. You can feel him getting bolder. He speaks again, pushing it a little further. 40? What if we only find 40 good people there? And once more, God concedes. I will not do it for 40's sake. Okay, now Abraham gets a little more cautious. He actually asks God not to be angry before he speaks again. And then he goes for it. 30? What about 30? And the answer is still the same. I will not do it if I find 30 there. He even acknowledges how bold he's being, saying, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. But he keeps going. What about 20? And for the 5th time, God agrees to spare the city. And then, finally, Abraham makes his last, most desperate plea. He begs God not to be angry. He promises it's the last time he'll ask. Yet, but this once, what if there are only 10? Just 10 righteous people. And for the last time, God says yes. I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And then it's just over. Just like that. The conversation is done. Abraham stops at 10, no more bargaining, no final handshake. God goes on his way, and Abraham just walks back to his tent. And the fate of Sodom now hangs on one single question. Can they find just 10 righteous people? And really, that's the question the story leaves us with, isn't it? What does it truly mean to stand up for justice? It makes you think about our own responsibility, our responsibility to speak up for others, and the kind of courage it takes to advocate for what's right, even when you feel as small and insignificant as dusting ashes.